Oh, hello there. I'm Bilchan.
I'm Nimikung.
I'm Banchan.
In this class, I'll read to all of you. Chapter 10, Section 1 of the picture of Dorian Gray.
As.
Ah.
The picture of Dorian Gray. Oscar Wilde. Chapter 10, Section 1. When his servant entered, he looked at him steadfastly and wondered if he had thought of praying behind the screen. The man was quite impassive and waited for his orders. Dorian lit his cigarette and walked over to the glass and glanced into it. He could see the reflection of Victor's face perfectly. It was like a placid mask of servility. There was nothing to be afraid of. There. Yet he thought it best to be on his guard. Speaking very slowly, he told him to tell the housekeeper that he wanted to see her, and then to go to the frame maker and ask him to send 2 of his men round at once. It seemed to him that as the man left the room, his eyes wandered in the direction of the screen. Or was that merely his own fancy? After a few moments, in her black silk dress, with old-fashioned thread mittens on her wrinkled hands, mice, these bustled into the library. He asked her for the key of the schoolroom, the old schoolroom. Wiste. Dorian? She exclaimed. Why? It is full of dust. I must get it arranged and put straight before you go into it. It is not fit for you to see. So, it is not. I don't want it put straight. You will be covered with cobwebs if you go into it. Why? He winced at the mention of his grandfather. He had hateful memories of him. That does not matter, he answered. I simply want to see the place, that is all. And here is the key. Sir, said the old lady, going over the contents of her bunch with tremulously uncertain hands. Here is the key. I'll have it off the bunch in a moment. But you don't think of living up there. No. No, he cried petulantly. Thank you. She lingered for a few moments, and was garrulous over some detail of the household. He sighed and told her to manage things as she thought best. She left the room, wreathed in smiles, as the door closed. Dorian put the key in his pocket and looked round the room. His eye fell on a large, purple satin coverlet heavily embroidered with gold. A splendid piece of late 17th century Venetian work that his grandfather had found in a convent near Bologna. Yes. That served to wrap the dreadful thing in. It had perhaps served often as a pall for the dead. Now it was to have something that had a corruption of its own. Worse than the corruption of death, it's also a thing that would breed horrors and yet would never die. What the worm was to the corpse, his sins would be to the painted image on the canvas. They would mar its beauty and knead away its grace. They would defile it and make it shameful. And yet the thing would still live on. It would be always alive. He shuddered, and for a moment he regretted that he had not told Basil the true reason why he had wished to hide the picture away. Basil would have helped him to resist Lord Henry's influence. and the still more poisonous influences that came from his own temperament. The love that he bore him, for it was really love, had nothing in it that was not noble and intellectual. It was not that mere physical admiration of beauty that is born of the senses, and that dies when the senses tire. It was such love as Michelangelo had known, and Montaigne, and Winckelmann, and Shakespeare himself. Yes, Basil could have saved him, but it was too late now. The past could always be annihilated. Regret, denial, or forgetfulness could do that. But the future was inevitable. There were passions in him that would find their terrible outlet. Dreams that would make the shadow of their evil real. He took up from the couch the great purple and gold texture that covered it, and holding it in his hands, half behind the screen, was the face on the canvas brighter than before. It seemed to him that it was unchanged, and yet his loathing of it was intensified. Gold hair, blue eyes, and rose-red lips, they all were there. It was simply the expression that had altered. That was horrible in its cruelty, compared to what he saw in it of censure or rebuke. How shall Basil's reproaches about so vain had been? How shall? And of what little account? His own soul was looking out at him from the canvas and calling him to judgment. A look of pain came across him, and he flung the rich pull over the picture. As he did so, a knock came to the door. He passed out as his servant entered. The persons are here. He felt that the man must be got rid of at once. He must not be able to know where the picture was being taken to. There was something sly about him, and he had thoughtful, treacherous eyes. Sitting down at the writing table, he scribbled a note to Lord Henry, asking him to send him round something to read and reminding him that they were to meet at 8:15 that evening. Wait for an answer, he said, handing it to him. To be continued.